Okay, welcome to Chapter 5 of the Vehicle Series. We're making some good progress and we're ready to start in on the wings sections. We're going to start off by working on the paneling for the wings, which basically just means any part of the wings from our concept, which you can see in the other layers, any part that's green, we're going to go ahead and work on today. So that basically means we're going to be doing these sections in here and then also do the exterior of the propellers and things like that. This will be pretty similar to all of these areas, and we'll try and make them match up with these and along with the style and things like that. So let's go ahead and just select the wings, and let me just check that everything is here and looks good. So let's just go ahead and first start and add in a subsurf modifier. Again, like the others, we'll go ahead and set the resolution up to 2 and enable the optimal display so that we don't see the very dense wireframe in there. Then let's also go ahead and hit T to bring up our toolbar and click Shading Smooth to get rid of the faceted faces. Let's also go ahead and hit Shift Space to maximize our view again, and we'll hit 1 to go into front view, and then Tab to go into edit mode. And you'll notice that this mesh is hidden right now, so let's just hit Alt-H to make sure everything is visible. And I want to go ahead and first do this piece right in here to go ahead and finish that off. But right now it looks a little awkward just sitting here right there, so let's go ahead and select this face. We'll just select all 4 vertices, hit 7 to go into top view, and let's just go ahead and bring this back onto right about here just to help kind of make it seem like the design has a little bit more sense to it. So I'll first just hit E to extrude, then right click since I don't want to extrude along the normals, and I'm just going to hit G, pull it back to about here, and then I'll hit S and X to scale along the X-axis, and then maybe rotate it a little bit to straighten it back out, position it right about in there. And I'll go ahead and rotate around while holding down my middle mouse button. And let's just hit G and Z, pull this down, and then you can see that it's not quite lining up with this angle here. So let's just hit R, rotate that around until it roughly fits, something like that. And then in order to fill in the rest of the wings, let's go ahead and go into wireframe mode with Z. We'll hit Control R to switch on our loop cut tool. Let's hit the scroll wheel up once so we can add in 2 loop cuts, and then left click, and then we'll go ahead and hit G and Z, pull those up, and then in shaded mode we can pull it up a little bit more, maybe deselect everything, then alt right click to select this one, pull that up a bit more, and now we're just tweaking it to get it to fit with the previous mesh. And so this is particularly easy to do if we go ahead and try and line it up with the edges that are already there for the wings. So I can just hit Control E and choose edge slide, maybe slide that over a bit right there. I can go ahead and take this one up along the Z axis a little. Maybe I'll also go ahead and rotate it from the front view, which is just 1. And that looks good. Let's maybe go ahead and I'm going to select this edge here, and I'm just going to hit G and Z, make it a little bit thicker. And let's go ahead and add in another loop cut right across like this to sharpen that up so we can really start to see what it looks like. And that starts to look pretty good. Let's also add in a loop cut right down the bottom like so. Add another one over to this side. Although actually on that side yet, we're not going to do that just yet. I'm going to select this edge and I'm going to go and hit Control E and edge slide, and then bring that down to make it a lot thinner. Something like that. Then I can go ahead and add in that edge loop to sharpen it up. Oh, it's 7 to go back into top view. You can see we need to work with these vertices here. Let's first select these ones, pull them up along the Z axis. And actually looks like we just need to add in another edge loop right there. If we hit Control 1, we can go to the back view and get a better view of this. Maybe I'll just rotate this, pull it up just a little bit. I'll grab these vertices here that are clearly far too low. Move them over a little. Select these, pull them down, and maybe we'll add in. Actually, you know what? Let's just go ahead and select these. Let's pull them up and just put in place right with that edge, such that it goes ahead and matches the underlying geometry to give us a little bit cleaner result. I also want to add a kind of a sharp edge to this front face. So I'm going to select this edge here on the corner. I'm going to hit Control E and edge slide, and let's just slide it back to get a nice angle here. And then I'll add in another edge loop right up like that, and another one right along the bottom to right there. So we get a nice kind of, actually that really doesn't look good at all. Instead, we want that to be nice and smooth, I think. looks a little better. Let's also go ahead and add in another edge loop down the length of it, which we can then take up along the z-axis a little bit, and then we'll also hit Control-E and edge slide, bring it down to average it out, and I'll go ahead and hit SY, scale along the y-axis just enough to make it fit a little bit more accurately, maybe move it along the y-axis a little bit, and there we go. Let's go ahead and select all of these loops. Oops, but not that one. All of these. And then these vertices as well. I'm just going to pull them along the x-axis and back along the y-axis just to compensate. That looks pretty good. Okay, so we'll leave that like it is there. And then I want to go ahead and fix this area right in here where things are not lining up right. So let's first go ahead and take this vertex. I'm just going to pull it back. And I really like this kind of circular edge we have right in here. So I want to try and match that. So let's take these. We'll just take them back along the y-axis. Take these back a bit. And, you know, as we're doing this, it means we're going to have to tweak some of the mesh that we just did as well, but that's okay. We'll take all these, take them out along the x-axis, grab the parent vertices for them, take those out to about there. And we can go ahead and bring these back in to smooth out that result and maybe bring them up along that axis. Okay, now we've got an end to the paneling right in here, which I suppose we should probably do, although I think I'm going to go ahead and just tweak the design a little bit and just make this continuous all the way around. Although maybe we ought to add an, actually, you know what? Let's do this. Let's add another loop cut right here, which is not continuous actually. Let's go and select this piece. Let's hit H to hide it. And we can see that's going in there. So let's hit Control Tab, select this face, hit X, delete the face. And then I'll hit Control R, add that loop cut in. Hit Control Tab, go to vertex mode, select these two vertices, hit F to fill in a face, hit W and subdivide, select this vertex, hit W and smooth. Actually, I guess I can't do that just yet. But I can go ahead and, let me real quick here, turn on the show the cage during edit mode. Just allows me to kind of see my mesh a little better. So I've got a better idea of what's going on. So I can just select these now, and maybe I'll have to smooth these. There we go. And then I can fill those as well. And that finishes off that. Then I'll go ahead and disable that to ensure that I still have, oops, not that one, but this one. That way I can ensure that I still have good, clean topology. Maybe I'll smooth that just a couple times, move it up just a little. There we go. That looks good. And so now, since I just did that, I can go ahead and select, say, this vertex, hit, actually, you know what? I'll do these faces right here, hit X, delete the faces. I can go ahead and select this loop as well. Or that one, this vertex, hit X, delete the vertex. Let's go ahead and in object mode, let's select this, hit Shift H, just so we can see it a little cleaner or clearer. And let's add in, I first want to go ahead and split these apart. So let's select these loop, or actually, you know, we'll just select both of these that are gray, and we'll just hit Y and split them. Then I'll do the same thing with these, Y and split. And then from the, or let's see, let's go ahead and now hit Control Tab, go into face mode. And just so that these aren't duplicates, you know, if I ever go to hit W and remove duplicates, I don't want these to remove. So I'm selecting all of these side faces here, which then are their normals are pointing in towards each other. So I can now just hit Alt S and just kind of expand them or shrink them towards each other. And that will, without hardly distorting the mesh at all, go ahead and overlap those a little better. So now what this also allows me to do is to go ahead and say, add in another loop right up to here. And then I can select these, Control Tab, go into vertex mode. I'll hit X and delete faces. And then I could go ahead and on this gray one, If I can get it, there we go. Add in another edge loop, bring that over. And then I will extrude these out. Maybe just go to right there, pull this over. Go, and maybe I'll extrude one more time just to ensure that it's square. I can also go ahead and add in another edge loop right to there to square that up. Another one right to there. I'll go ahead and pull these over. About like that. Okay, I'll save this, hit Alt-H to reveal everything, and I want to go ahead and select this mesh, and I'm just going to select, say, this part right in here, and from the back view, Control-1, I'm just going to hit E to extrude, take this up, and then maybe one more time. I can go and select both of them, scale along the y-axis, or actually I'll just move along the y-axis a little bit, and I'll select just the top one, move it in. There we go. I can select these, and maybe I'll move that in. I want to go and add some depth to this, so I'm going to deselect this vertex. Actually, I'll deselect both of these. And I'll go ahead and hit, actually no, I will go and select all these. I'll hit E to extrude, right click, Alt-S to shrink, scale along their normals. And then I'll go ahead and merge these two together. So just merge those at center, something like that. Then I can add in another edge loop right up to that edge to make sure it stays nice and sharp. I can also go ahead and select these edges, hit Shift E and say 0.5 or so to crease them. And then I'll hit E to extrude, take it up along the normal or along the Z-axis, and then also hit Alt-S to scale down. I'm going to also need to select this edge ring, so I'm going to hit Control-Alt, right-click, which will select all of those edges, and I'm going to go and hit Shift-E and then -1, and then I could go ahead and reselect this edge and hit Shift-E, and maybe even I'll take that up to 0.8 or so. Okay, I also want to go ahead and select this part of this loop and this one here. Deselect all these vertices, so I'm just selecting the bottom ones here. I'm going to pull them down along the Z-axis and a little along the X-axis. And I'll go ahead and select all the perimeters again. And I'll go ahead and do this on this one, and oops, I'll switch into edge mode. Select all of these then. There we go. And I'll go and hit Shift-E and 0.8 on these as well. We'll start to crease those up. Control-Tab, go into vertex mode. Select these. And I've got a little bit of pinching in here, so I'm just going to take these down along the Z-axis, namely with these ones. There we go. And now currently I don't like this because I don't have a continuous edge loop around here. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this face again. I'm going to add in an edge loop there, and I'll add in an edge loop on this side, like that. Hit Control-Tab, go to vertex mode, select these two, W and, oops, that's not what I'm going to do, W and merge at center. And then I can go ahead and select this loop, hit F, and merge that back together. But now I've got a continuous loop around here, which I can then add in a loop like that. I'll add in a loop like this, and like this, and like this. On this one, maybe I'll deselect these back ones and then slide the front forward a little bit more to get it a little bit sharper. Sharpen that. Oops, maybe I'll just slide this one back just a little bit. It doesn't need to be quite that long. Move these back a little. And then I want to go ahead and add depth to these. So I'll just select these edges, and then I will hit E to extrude, hold down Control, snap to there while I've got my vertex snapping enabled. Hit W, remove doubles. It should have removed one vertex right in there as it did. Okay. And now I want to go ahead and match this angle or these angles right in here. So I'll just go in and kind of tweak these manually until that arc is very similar. Okay. And this helps to kind of cover up some of those seams in there that you see. Now we're not going to worry about this middle part because we're going to be doing that here in a little bit, but I want to go ahead and select this loop in here, and we'll deselect this vertex, and we'll deselect those two vertices, and then I want to go ahead and hit E to extrude, right click, Alt S, and scale up until this fits roughly. Now you'll notice that my normals are not consistent, so let's hit Control Z to undo this, hit Control N, and then we should be able to hit E to extrude, Alt S, and I guess they're still not shrinking consistently, but that's okay. So instead now I'll just go ahead and deselect these ones, hit Alt S again, and then just go, yeah, I guess it's still not, okay. That's all right. We'll just go and hit S and Z, scale up along the Z axis with those, deselect these ones, scale along the Y axis just a little bit, and then I can deselect these ones that look pretty good, and I'll deselect these, and then I'll just go ahead and select, with these select, I'll just hit G and snap to right there, select everything, W, and remove doubles. Then on some of these, I may need to go in and kind of tweak them a little bit more, just to get it a little closer. I can go and add in a new edge loop to sharpen that up. And then what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and select this loop here. Or actually, you know what? Yeah, we're going to deselect these, and we're going to hit, and we'll deselect these. We're going to hit E to extrude, right click, hit G and X, and snap, or just snap in to there. And then we can deselect all of these. I'll snap this to there, deselect those. And then on these ones, I'm going to scale it along the x-axis, or actually we'll just bring it out along the x-axis a little bit. Hit 3 to go into side view, and I want to pull it out along the y. I can scale out along the y a little bit. And that looks pretty good, just adding in that thickness there. Then right in here, I need to go ahead and make these match. So I can just go ahead and select these, and I will just hit F to fill a face, add in an edge loop right across here, snap it to that vertex, add in another one, snap to that vertex, select everything, W, and remove doubles. I can then go and tweak that to fit. I'll select all of this and assign my green material. Tweak these a little bit more. Okay, there we go. And actually, you know what? I just realized something. We really ought to just go in and delete this whole edge loop. But first, before doing that, I'm going to go ahead and select these faces. I'm going to hit P, separate by selection. Then with these selected, I'm going to go in and delete all of my perimeter loops here. And the reason being is I, for some reason, completely overlooked the fact that I really just ought to add a solidify modifier to this. So with these selected, I'll just hit X, delete the vertices, and I should just have two equal planes now with my creasing. So I'm just going to hit Shift Space and go to the modifiers, add in a new modifier and solidify. And then I can take this down. It looks like 0.03 is going to be pretty good. Yeah, that looks good. We can go ahead and move this above the subsurf to get a slightly nicer result, and we can go ahead and then crease these all to say 0.8. To get a nice sharp result, we'll click even thickness and fill quality or high quality normals just to ensure that we get a good result. And there we go. Much more even than before. And actually, I think it's the rim that we don't want to crease necessarily. Or actually, we will go ahead and crease it for now. And then we may do some cleanup work later on, but I think for the time being, that ought to work pretty good. Okay. There we go. And now what I want to do is to select this, hit tab to go into edit mode. We're going to select this vertex, we're going to hit or edge loop, we're going to go ahead and pull it up like this. And then I'm going to select this edge. And actually we'll go ahead and take these, pull them down. I'm going to select this edge, and I'm just going to extrude like this. And I'm basically just going to follow the path of this so that I can rotate, pull it over. Okay, and again, just keep doing this. Basically, I'm just filling in this hole. And you notice each time I extrude, I'm generally right-clicking so that I can cancel the movement along the normals, just because I don't want to do that right now. I'm also going to add in a new edge loop here so that I can then just take that down to get a little bit of an arc there. Select this edge, pull it up. There we go. Just keep that nice and even. I could go ahead and take these in along the x-axis just a bit. And that looks pretty good. Over here, you can see I need to go ahead and bring this back out a little. I'm going to go ahead and uncrease these. So I'll hit Shift-E, -1, and then I can select all these edges, pull them out along the x-axis. Not quite that far. There we go. And we might go ahead and merge those up. Yeah, let's go ahead and merge these two together. So I'll hit Control-J to join these in. I can add in another edge loop right down like that. And go ahead and delete these two, select these, and select those, and then hit F and fill a face. So now those go together. Let's go and hit Shift-H to unhide all this. And I'm going to add in another extrusion here, which I can just extrude out to this. I'll select this face, hit X, delete the vertex, the face, select everything, W, remove doubles. I can snap that to there, and then I will delete these two loops by Alt-Shift right-clicking on them, select everything, W, remove doubles. Maybe take this vertex, take it back a little bit. Then I can go back in object mode, hit Alt-H, and check out my work. And looks pretty good. I can maybe go and take this, move it down just a little bit along the y-axis. Let's go in here, and we need to tweak this shape a little. Pull this back along the y-axis there. And there. I need to add in another loop right here, which I can then go ahead and move up a little bit along the z-axis, and then deselect all the top vertices, move this up a little bit more, which means I need to move it out. I can go and hit Control-E, edge slide, bring it down a little. Deselect those, and then go in and tweak this one a little bit more manually. Slide that back a little, move it up, and that looks pretty good. Maybe select this loop, hit Control E, edge slide, bring it down just a little bit. You can see that these still are causing a interesting effect in here, so I'll just select these. Okay, that starts to look a little better. Maybe this whole loop right here, minus the bottom, minus this side, go ahead and come down just a bit. Go ahead and select this whole thing, then deselect all these, and then I'll just, deselect that. Hit Shift L to deselect that, and then I'll move these back out a little, just so I've got a little bit more of a consistent curve on here. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and quickly do the rest of the paneling. We've got the back in here, looks pretty good. I think we can just, let's actually hit, I think we're going to be able to leave that as is. We might tweak a few things here and there as we go, but real quick, I want to go ahead and do the main propeller. So in here, let's first just go into edit mode, and then let's add in a loop right up to this edge. Same thing on the bottom. And then we'll add one. Let's go and hit Shift H to hide everything else. And we'll add another one on the inside here and on the inside there. Get those nice and sharp. And actually, you know what? I think we ought to go ahead and add in, say, 2 edge loops. Then we'll hit Alt S to scale these in. Create a little bit of a bulge on the inside. Extra clearance room for the propellers. And I want to go ahead and create this shape in here. And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm just going to rotate around until this is roughly straight. I'm going to go ahead and select these, and I'm going to hit V, rip that apart, rotate this around, maybe move it back a little bit, and then I will hit E to extrude, and I'll just go and extrude this twice, something like this. Then I can go back into top view so I can kind of see this, and I want to go ahead and extrude then one more time, hit 3 to go to side view, and I can kind of match this angle here, something about like that. Hit 7 to go back to top view. I want to go ahead and select these vertices. I'll hit X, and actually I'll deselect these two, but I'll delete these two. Hit X, delete vertices, and then I'm going to go ahead and select, say, these 4, and same ones on the bottom. Fill those. Then I can go ahead, and I guess I don't need this center loop, so I'll hit X, delete the edge loop, Alt right click to select that, hit F, same thing on the bottom, fills those completely. I can go ahead and take these, maybe I'll just hit Control E, edge slide, and then I can edge slide back a little bit. Gives me a nice smooth result. Maybe I'll go out a little bit more. Maybe select these, slide that back in. Okay, and then I'm just going to, I'll fill this, and then I'm going to W and subdivide. Then I'll quickly, after hitting W subdivide, I'll hit F6 to bring up the operator panel, or basically the history. I can increase that subdivision count to 2, and then I can grab these, pull them out along the Y-axis and along the X-axis a little bit. Then I'll fill a face right there, fill a face there, and right here. And I can go ahead, select these 2 vertices, pull them out a bit more. I could go ahead and, I guess I can't really add an edge loop in right there. Actually, you know what? This is what I'll do. I'm going to select this. I'm going to hit V, rip that back apart. Then I'll fill a face there. add in an edge loop right there and an edge loop on the bottom. I'll go ahead and select this, and I'm just going to hit G, snap to there, select this one, G, snap to there, select everything, W, and remove doubles. And that leaves me with still 100% quads. So I can get this little extra protrusion in here real easily, to which I can then also just add in an edge loop, strengthen that, bring this in here. I can maybe add in another edge loop right up to that, sharpen that. That looks pretty good. Maybe I'll select all these, deselect that vertex back there, pull this back, such that this is a little bit straighter. And then to create this piece, I'm just going to, or for where the light is, I'll select these two. I'm going to scale this up just a little bit. Select this, hit E to extrude, right click, W and smooth. Then I'll select these ones here, and hit X and delete the edges. And then what I want to do is basically just fill this space in. So I'll hit delete this edge as well to delete that hole. And then I'll take this, I'm going to hit G and Shift Z, snap to that, G and Shift Z, snap to that, whoops, G, Shift Z, there we go. So that way I basically maintain where it's located except along the Z axis. And now I want to just fill in these holes. So I'll select all this, hit F, select all this, hit F, and then I'll select everything, hit E to extrude, right click. I can hit W and smooth. Nope, that's not going to work. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and enable my manipulators, but I'm going to change the type over to the view. So now I can just rotate my view approximate, then I'll hit S, double tap X, scale in like that. I can hit S, double tap Y, bring it down. Using the view manipulator is really handy, particularly when you need to do more awkward transforms. You know, if you don't have something that's perfectly aligned, then you can do that fairly easily using the view manipulator. There we go. And then just real quick, I'll go ahead and create this light. So I'm going to go and position my cursor right about here. I'm going to control space to turn off the manipulators. And then I'm going to hit Shift A, add in a cylinder. On the cylinder, I'm going to hit F6, change the vertex count down to, I think 6 ought to be just fine. Or actually 5 will be good. I'm going to go ahead and uncap the ends. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and do 6 so that I can easily have an even vertex count. And then I'll go ahead and scale this down. I'll rotate it around the x-axis 90 degrees, rotate it around the z-axis, looks like 30 degrees, be about right. Scale this down a bit more. I can go ahead and change this over to normal, control space, and double tap X, scale that down along the normal like that. Then I'll move this into position, rotate this a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and grab these these two vertices. I'm going to hit G, Shift X, snap down to there. Actually, I guess, no, instead I'm going to select these two, and I'll just hit S, and then, let's see. Let's just hit, we'll just scale them down. Or actually, we'll do one in at a time. There we go. Scale it down like that. Select these. Scale them down approximately like that. I'm going to add in another edge loop here. Actually, you know what? Before I do that, I'm going to go and hit Control Space, turn off the manipulator, select these, fill a face, select these. There we go. Now I can add in an edge loop on either side. I'll select this whole thing, go over to the materials, add in a new material slot, which I'll give my lights material, click assign, and then I can go ahead and move this up just a little bit more, rotate a little more to fit. And I'll deselect this side and hit E to extrude. Take that out to about right there. E to extrude again. This time I'll just scale it down, and then I'll extrude one last time to make that fairly sharp. I can also add in another edge loop right up like that to make that one sharp. Then I'll select all of these, and I'll hit E to extrude and just take that in like so. I'll select the whole thing, maybe rotate around the Z-axis, and I basically just want to go in and make this line up and fit. That looks pretty good. I might go and add in another edge loop here, which then I'll pull out just a little bit. Select this, rotate a bit. Let's see. I'll just scale down along the local normal just a little bit. Will actually work without hurting anything. Then I'm going to add in a loop on either side here to sharpen this up. Okay, after adding those edge loops, I want to go ahead and select them, deselect this portion, and then I'll hit Control E, edge slide that. I'll do the same thing down here, and that just keeps this area fairly nice and smooth. I can go ahead and select them though and hit Alt S, maybe scale them out a little bit, keeps it nice and smooth still. Over here, you'll notice these are scaling out a little bit, so I'll pull that in, and then these in, make sure that those don't show. Okay, I want to select this W and shade smooth. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to deselect everything but this one corner, and then we're just going to pull that out, get a little bit more shape to it that matches this in here. Maybe select the whole thing, scale down just a little bit. And then I'm also going to go in and select these, just this one edge. I'm going to hit Shift E and 0.8, which will crease that a little bit. I'll do the same thing here. Go ahead and select these as well. Deselect part of the light. Move them in. Pull that down. Pull that up. And that starts to look pretty good. I'll go and add in another edge loop right there though. And then this piece in here really ought to be even. So I'll deselect the top, or deselect the bottom, sorry. Select all this and that. And then I'm just going to rotate this a little bit, pull it up there. There we go. Might go ahead and select these edges. We'll just pull them in a little closer, rotate slightly, and there we go. Okay, so that gives me my reflector or my light. And we've got the paneling in there. Let's go and hit Alt-H to just see how things are looking. And it's looking pretty good. I'm going to go and add in these two loops right in here. And I will scale them in a little closer together. Or I'll just scale the top one. There we go. And then I'm going to select all these, but I'm going to deselect these inside faces. And then I'll hit Alt-S. Actually, you know what? Rather than hitting Alt-S, I'm just going to rotate around approximately like this, and then I'll just pull it out. That way I don't shrink anything inappropriately. There we go. And go into this one as well. There we go. That way the light will reflect off those consistently. And I think, oh, we've got We've actually already got that added. I'm going to go and add in another edge loop right up to that. And just to make these a little bit more consistent, I'm going to go ahead and deselect these ones, then scale these back out a little bit. Deselect these and slide these back out. And then I'm going to select all of these loops, all these ones. I'll save it, and then I'm going to hit E to extrude, right click, Alt S to scale these down. I'll go ahead and assign the dark gray material, and then I'm going to add in edge loops nearby to sharpen those. And on this one, I'll add the edge loop on the inside edge. There we go. That just adds, a little bit more consistency to the shape, and so it doesn't look a little bit awkward. Looks good. And I suppose we could go ahead and crease these outside edges. I'll hit Shift E, and I'll just crease them to just to 5, just for a little extra in there. And I'll also add in another edge loop right down to the bottom there, right down to the bottom there. And I'll go ahead and crease these, Shift E, Shift E, 0.8. And on these ones, Shift E, 0.8. There we go. That way you don't see the bleeding on the green material. I'm not going to worry about this too much yet, except to add in an edge loop like that, and another one like that, just for the time being. And I think that's pretty much going to do it for this section. That's really just the paneling in there. It looks pretty good. If we wanted, we could add in a little bit more separation on these, but I think for the time being, we'll leave that just like it is. It's enough to get away with at least. And I do want to, however, fix this. So I'm going to deselect all of this after selecting it all, and then I will just pull these over, rotate slightly, and there we go. That was just more consistent with the shape of the wings. And we also have this little bit in here that needs fixed. I'll deselect that side, and then I'll pull those over. There we go. Okay, that makes everything fit pretty nicely, starting to look good, and I'll follow up this. The next section will be focusing on this middle section right in here, some of this kind of engine detail, along with the last bit of green paneling right in there, and then we'll do a third section for the wings on detailing the propellers.